I now give the floor to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you, President. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the members of the A3 Plus group, namely Guyana, Mozambique, Sierra Leone, and my own country, Algeria. We welcome the Secretary General's report and thanks our brother, Mr. Abdou Bari, SRSG for Central Africa and head of the UN Regional Office for Central Africa, for his comprehensive briefing and relevant information on the situation in the region. We wish also to thank Mr. Verissimo, President of ECAS Commission, for his briefing. Mr. President, Central Africa, a resource-rich region, finds itself at a crossroad, grappling with a series of complex and interconnected challenges, including armed conflicts, transnational crime, and maritime insecurity. However, it is encouraging to see these continued efforts of regional and sub-regional initiatives aimed at tackling these challenges, bringing a beacon of hope through the ongoing peace talks, the disarmament programs, as well as the political transitions that are moving forward. At the political level, we are encouraged by the positive dynamic in several countries of the region and the step taken to strengthen and restore institutions, responding to the legitimate aspirations of the population. On the security front, the A3 Plus are concerned over the Boko Haram-related security incident, resulting in too many fatalities in the region. We call on all regional stakeholders to join forces to urgently address the uptake of Boko Haram's attacks in the Lake Chad Basin and call for initiatives to address the underlying causes of violence and extremism. We are further concerned about the increase of the use of improvised explosive devices by terrorist groups in the region. The A3 Plus encourages the strengthening of cross-border cooperation between states in the region and beyond to counter the scourge of terrorism. We also note the persistence of the Lord's Resistance Army in perpetrating attacks against civilians, and once again emphasized the need to tackle the issue of terrorism and activities of armed groups. Maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea remains a pressing concern, with piracy, armed robbery, and other illicit activities threatening regional stability and economic development. We call on all security actors present in this maritime area to redouble their efforts and collaboration in order to bring these incidents to an end. The A3+ strongly condemns the act of violence and violation committed in the whole region. We call upon the armed group to renounce violence and to engage in the ongoing processes of dialogue and disarmament in the countries of Central Africa. We welcome the examination of successful approaches in the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of armed groups conducted in some countries in Central Africa. We believe that successful approaches should be replicated in the region and beyond when relevant. To this end, the A3+ also invite all partners to continue their financial and technical support to ensure that the DDR programs set up in the region are completed properly and on time. Mr. President, addressing the needs and rights of women and girls exposed to violence in crisis-affected areas is a priority of the A3+. We urge partners to provide specialty systems in order to tackle these needs and rights in a comprehensive manner. We are also concerned about the adverse impact of climate change on the Central African region, including increased frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, which pose significant risks to livelihood, food security, and peace in the region. This region remains one of those most vulnerable to the consequences of climate disruption. The recurrence of increasingly devastating floods, the longer duration of drought, and the historic shrink in the size of Lake Chad are perfect illustrations in that regard. Moreover, humanitarian needs in Central Africa continue to be driven by armed violence, food insecurity, and forced displacement, among other factors. Humanitarian assistance is far from meeting the needs of affected populations, and this is greatly worrisome. We therefore encourage donors to provide sufficient financial resources to allow the humanitarian response plan to carry out its program and activities. Mr. President, the A3+ notes that many other pressing challenges are facing the Central African region. Decades of conflict have left deep scars. As I have alluded to earlier, armed groups continue to displace civilians and hinder vital services. The most vulnerable, especially women and children, suffer the most. This is why the international community must play a greater role, particularly in transformative economy recovery. The A3+ calls on everyone in position to do so, to provide support for the most pressing needs, but also to invest in sustainable development in Central Africa, particularly in education and healthcare, as they are the pillar of a brighter future. The A3+ urges the international community in general, and this Security Council in particular, to support countries of the region in their quest for peace and development. Central Africa has the potential for prosperity, yet the persistent fragility of peace and security requires continued UN support. We, the A3+, concur that this support is especially needed in areas like preventive diplomacy, mediation, and peace building. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Algeria for their statement.